how do you maintain projects? How do you keep engagement up? How do you keep people motivated endlessly?
Well, one of the things about the type of strategic projects we're talking about here is they're not perpetual, that they actually have an endpoint. So a single outcome you're trying to achieve. So maybe it's an experiment that you want to test a hypothesis. Maybe it's a very specific plan that you want to develop as a way of moving forward with a particular initiative. But you want endpoints that allows you to stop, take stock. What's the value of this improvement that we're trying to make? Does it have value for the business? Is it worth moving forward? Has the experiment told us something different than we thought it would? And look back, assess before you move forward. And some of what you want to do, if we're going to drive this progress principle, is you want to celebrate the fact that you've achieved a milestone, that you've gotten to where you are. You want to communicate where you've gotten to so that you start to bring more people into the circle around what you're doing. So you start to alleviate some of the uncertainty with taking the next step forward.
I can see how this applies even to my ongoing drama with maintaining a gym routine. If I projectified it and set myself a monthly, quarterly goal, and whether I achieved my target or not, I celebrated and I shared the results with myself or my partner.
Absolutely.
I could see how that would make an incredible difference rather than this perpetual, endless project that never has a finish line that I feel suffocated by even thinking about.
And that's exactly right, because then all of a sudden, if you take the journey and just look at it in one big chunk, it feels too far away. And worse yet, in the business of busyness world, it is too far away, because now the urgent and important is always going to push that out into the future. Well, let's bring those things into the now. Let's make it part of our operational fabric, and it's palatable. It's devoting a day or a week of your time, aside from your other operational activities, to get to a very defined outcome. And when you get to that outcome, let's look back. What did it tell us? What did we learn from that? Did we achieve what we set out to achieve? And what might those learnings suggest for the future?
How do you know when it is a good time to end a project, to let go, or to operationalize it?
I mean, there's an element of more art than science to that, but I think part of the way that you are intentional about that is you have these portfolios that are continuously evaluated. Are these projects still valuable projects to be doing? Is it a project that we continue on? Is it a project we operationalize? Is it a project that no longer has value because it doesn't create the sort of business outcomes we hope to, or it's not a priority anymore? And so you want to create a routine where you're constantly assessing your projects and whether they should continue forward. And part of that routine I often start organizations on is a quarterly routine. So once a quarter, we have a portfolio, we take stock. Moving forward, what projects do we take into the next portfolio? Is it a continuation of the projects we've been doing? Are they new projects? Have we changed priorities around the projects that we've already identified? And so get into this routine that makes it that assessment intentional, if you will.
I can also see an additional motivating principle in that is leveraging time running out. There's an enthusiasm, there's an energized feel where it's like, oh, we've only got 3 more weeks.
Yep.
That would really stimulate engagement to want to bring it, knowing that, well, we've only got 3 more weeks, so dig your heels in.
Yeah, absolutely. And at some level, you want the project teams themselves to make commitments around, okay, this is what we call completion. This is the outcome we're trying to deliver. And we make we commit our own resources to reaching a conclusion, and then retrospectively look back and say, okay, what did we accomplish? What did we learn from that? What might we take forward?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. We've just recently completed a portfolio for one client that I'm working with, and one of those projects has been long running. There's been a project there that's been over 3 quarters, and it's started to lose momentum. And one of the pieces of feedback in the retrospective for that project was, we've probably let this go too long. We probably were where we needed to be from a strategic project perspective last quarter, and we've just kind of kept squeezing it and not taken it and said, okay, now this should be something that we operationalize. It should be something that's now has a life of its own, and we make it part of our operational environment.